Hey, everybody, and welcome to the 1224 podcast. I'm Kate.
And I'm Shay.
And we're here to talk to you about everything animation. Welcome to this month's episode. We have two guests for y'all here. One is a reoccurring guest who's been here before, Chaz. Welcome, Chaz.
No, I haven't. I'm just a figment of everybody's imagination. I don't exist.
Man.
Well, we tried.
All of this from our third co-host, technically.
Basically.
Practically.
I think he's been, there for most... a lot of episodes.
I've been there since the beginning.
Feels like half. In the first thumbnail, you see, Chaz, in the background.
Just staring into the...
Easter egg. It's a foreshadowing. It's like Gravity Falls.
Yeah.
Besides that figment of our imaginations, we also have a new guest who hasn't been here before. So, Fern or Fernando, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hello, how's everyone going? Okay. Hi, my name's Fern. First time. Kind of excited to be in the podcast.
Yes.
Yay. Everyone give a round of applause. Everybody give a round of applause.
Welcome, Chaz and Fern, to this amazing episode of this podcast. As you all can probably already tell from the title, we are talking about Scott Pilgrim Takes Off and everything related to that. Everything Scott Pilgrim. So exciting. Before we really dive into it, I just kind of want to ask each person how they got into Scott Pilgrim in the first place, because it's been such a, I don't know, cultural phenomenon in our generation, I feel like. Because for me, I heard this comic going around on Twitter, which I should not be on Twitter around that age. If you have a 12-year-old to anybody, do not let them use Twitter. But I was like, whoa, gay people in Canada? That's crazy. And so I heard from word of mouth around middle school too, people reading it from the library. And so I checked it out on my own, and I was like, wow, this is a really interesting concept. And then I really got obsessed with Scott Pilgrim and forced my mom to go to Best Buy with me to get the DVD for the live action movie. And that basically was the beginning of my love for Scott Pilgrim. But what about the rest of y'all? Shay?
So I was about 8 years old, and I remember I was at the mall and I saw this big red billboard with this guy playing guitar on it. And I stared at it and I said, interesting, and I forgot about for a very long time until the Mad Short came out, where it was Scott Pilgrim versus the Wonderful World of Disney.
I remember that.
And I watched that and I didn't understand any of it. And then years later again, I get to watch the movie. I think I got it on DVD first. That's how I watched it. But yeah, that's my exposure to Scott Pilgrim. I mainly just knew about it because I saw the poster once, and then I saw the Mad parody, and I was like, interesting. He's just fighting people, and there's little video game references.
How I first saw it. So they had a copy of the first volume of Scott Pilgrim in my middle school library.
Shout out.
I'm not going to say the school.
Nope.
Don't do that.
But me and Caitlin did go to the same middle school, and I saw it, and I was a book junkie. I would get all the books that I could get that looked interesting. I grabbed all of them. In that stack was Percy Jackson, Harry Potter, Scott Pilgrim, a graphic novel version of the Odyssey. I remember this very clearly, like it was yesterday.
Damn.
I took those home. I read all of those, and then I looked up Scott Pilgrim because I knew there was more to the comic, and I saw that there was a movie, but I didn't want to watch the movie because before that I had a big fear of live action versions of movies, and it all started because of the last Airbender movie. That was the first movie as a child where I was like, you know, when you have childlike wonder, you sit down, you're like, oh wow, this movie is good. You think every movie is good as a kid.
Yeah.
That was the first time as a kid I sat down and I watched a movie, the Avatar, the last Airbender movie. I sat there and I was like, this is bad. This isn't
Childhood
good.
ruined.
I was in the theater and
The theater.
So
Oh
yeah.
no.
This isn't. I look at my dad, and my dad also used to watch the Airbender, the TV show, with me, and we're both like, this isn't good. So saw that Scott Pilgrim movie. I saw that existed. No, I didn't watch it for years. I didn't watch it because I was terrified. But then I heard good things about it, and then I bootlegged it, and then I watched it, and it was good. And I read the rest of the comics around that time as well. Those were all good.
Oh man, it's okay. So fun story. One day I was like going to the theaters like back in 2010, 2009, I think. One of the trailers showed up while we were waiting like for the movie that was gonna play, and I'm like, oh, is this Deadpool? Because of the hyper stylization of the character, and I'm like, and then they put Scott Pilgrim. I'm like, what the fuck is this?
What's a Scott Pilgrim?
What is Scott Pilgrim? What is? And I never saw it in theaters, but I remember my dad bought like a bootleg for the movie because we are like, what's this about? I know it was a different time, but pretty much like we bought a bootleg. That bootleg was really poor quality because there was like a lot of weird frame drops and it was blurry. So I never got to see the movie properly until almost like 8 years later. So like 2019 or 2020 was the first time I actually saw it.
Wow.
Like I've seen the graphic novel like a few times, like different libraries and such. But I never got to see the movie until like almost exactly a decade after it came out. And then it was good timing because then the anime was announced, and I'm like, okay, cool, let's see how it is.
And we saw how it was, and that's why we're all here. First off, thank you all for sharing those like awesome experiences. It's so cool to see like how people have come to this like piece of media in different ways. But Shay, would you like to give a general premise of what Scott Pilgrim is, or what we all thought it was in the anime?
Spoiler warning.
Oh, right.
Yes, thank you.
We're spoiling all of Scott Pilgrim because, one, it's like over 10 years old, the movie, the comic even older, and then the anime's like, not exact, it's like, still, please use your brains when watching stuff.
Yes.
I like how I'm always called to do the, summary.
I feel like it's a thing, like, I don't know, like, is that okay to do?
No, it's okay. I just...
Shay premise.
I always feel like I'm really bad at explaining stuff.
No, not at all. You're fine.
Scott Pilgrim. So, there's a guy named Scott Pilgrim. That's it. He's Canadian.
He's Scots all over the place. It's crazy.
Stop.
Yeah. Super
Scots
crazy.
all over the place.
He becomes a pilgrim. And he's like, oh no, Canada's so barren. It's so barren.
He also has a British accent.
Yeah, then
Yeah.
he invents the guitar, and, he has a band,
Crazy.
and then also he's like, 17-year-old schoolgirl, come hither.
Oh no.
Ah!
Then he sees this, like, crazy, like, pilgrim lady with, like, colorful hair at, like, the first Thanksgiving
The first Thanksgiving.
in Canada. So it's October, and then he's like, do you know about this fair lady who's also maybe a pilgrim? And everyone's like, she's American. Why are you talking like that? And he's like, I don't know. So then he becomes infatuated with, like, this colorful hair girl to the point where he's like, I don't care about that 17-year-old girl anymore. He's 22. Dear God, he's 22.
23 in the comics, even.
That's
Ah.
crazy. Okay, long story short, this guy named Scott, he likes this girl named Ramona, and he has to beat her 7 evil exes. And also, he has a lot of problems, but everyone has problems, but, like, his problems are, like, the main focus, because he's the title character. Is that good?
That was amazing.
10 out of 10.
Great.
Yay!
Yippee, I'm so glad that I can summarize something so briefly with no embellishments.
I love my British drama, Scott Pilgrim.
Of course.
Downtown Abbey, Part 2.
Fun fact, the reason I started reading Scott Pilgrim was because in one of the parts of the comic, he's wearing an X-Men jacket. And I was an
Yeah.
X-Men super fan. And there's also one panel where he's explaining Magic's backstory, which is another X-Men. And I was like, this
Yeah.
guy's so cool. Little kid me was like, this guy is so cool. Oh my god, man, he knows X-Men. Little did I know.
Little did little Chaz know, Scott sucks.
When you guys, like, first, like, read or, like, watched Scott Pilgrim, I think with Fern, I was, like, more unclear about the age. But everyone was, like, around middle school, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it makes sense, because, like, yeah, because we will all be, like, it'll be, like, 2013, 2014-ish?
Basically, yeah. I was really surprised that you knew Scott Pilgrim, like, when the movie, like, came out.
It's only because I saw a promo, and it was just very striking, because it's, like, bright red, and there's this guy, but I thought it was rated, but it was, like, PG-13, so I was like, oh, that's a bad movie, I can't watch that.
That's a no-no movie.
Yeah, that's a no-no movie. Also, I, like, cared about, like, fairies and stuff, so...
But when did you see the movie, though?
I saw it in middle school.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, like, or at least, like, that's, like, the rough estimate, because I remember I watched it, because I remember specifically I had conversation with, previous guest Kiana, because we went to the same middle school.
Shout out.
And, like, my classmates and stuff, we were all talking about Scott Pilgrim. So yeah, I had to be, like, 8th grade, I saw it, or, like, 7th grade.
No one was talking about Scott Pilgrim when I was into it. I think you were the only one, Kate.
That's so crazy.
And I remember you mentioned it when we were back then, and I was like, oh man, I'm into older people literature because Kate's older than me.
Yeah, work.
So I'm smart.
We're besties. Like, I'm a good influence, so I have good taste.
Yeah, very good influence. You got
Good
me into.
influence.
Are you trying to call me out, Shay?
Yeah.
Oh no.
Sorry. There's so many lies to this, I can't stand to sit here.
Hashtag I'm exposed.
Horrible.
I'm canceled.
Hashtag cancel Kate.
No.
She got a young child into Scott
No!
Pilgrim. Get her out of here.
Oh no. Does that make me Scott?
No.
Yes.
No.
Is Kate gonna pull out a ukulele?
No, stop. I have a ukulele,
She's
but
gonna
I
put
will
on-
draw the line on that.
Typical Steven Universe fan.
So, Brian Lee O'Malley is the creator of Scott Pilgrim, author, artist of, yes, the comic itself and part of the movie, and then now the anime, which I, like, read in an article that they, like, didn't start it up until, like, 2019, and, you know, obviously it didn't release until it was late November of 2023, so just pretty recently. It just came out on Netflix. But I think I kind of just wanted to hear, like, y'all's thoughts about, like, what y'all expected and what y'all didn't expect because of how sneaky they were in terms of how they marketed it as, like, oh, it's gonna be the same thing, like, as you saw, like, in the trailer, you know, the same premise of the 7 evil exes and everything. But yeah, what were you guys thinking about that?
I actually thought the anime was gonna be like a faithful remake of the graphic novel, where they would like cover the sections that the movie kind of skipped through.
Same. I thought the same thing. And then I sat down. Well, no. I think TikTok kind of spoiled it for me. Because I remember, Caitlin, you were like, watch it, Chaz, watch it. And I was like, I'm getting to it. And I got on TikTok, and then I saw this big-ass, buff, brolic Scott Pilgrim, and I was like, who is this man?
Oh.
Why does he have a beard? I got spoiled for that, yeah. I also got spoiled for the... But it was funny. I got spoiled. Was it Lucas Lee?
Are you talking about Todd?
Yeah, it was Todd. And, why am I fudging names right now?
Wallace?
My brain's not working. Ed
Wallace?
Wallace. I got spoiled.
You forgot about...
Run lines in your trailer?
It's a mess.
Crazy.
I got spoiled like that too, because there's like a video called like, oh, dub comparison and sub comparison, because they're like, oh, we also have a sub cast, because they first dubbed it in English and then did the Japanese dub afterwards, and then the one with Lions in your trailer was in that, so I'm like, wait.
Oh no.
But also, Netflix kind of spoiled it, because there's like a picture of Ramona Flowers holding a drawing she made of Scott, and I'm like, wait, that wasn't in the novel or the movie.
That wasn't in anything. But I like it. I actually appreciated that they did that, where it was different from both mediums, but it still served its own purpose.
Yeah.
It served as a vehicle for, because the movie and the novels didn't really paint Ramona's side of the whole thing. I mean, you got sort of who she was, but you can also tell, especially kind of in the movie, where she has that interaction with, damn, my brain's not working, with her ex.
Which one?
Or she was like, you're a has-been. You're a has-been.
Oh, Roxy?
Roxy, yeah. And you were like, you really messed with this girl's feelings. And then you also, if you didn't read the novel and if you just watched the film, you should also know that when she dated the twins, they didn't know at the same, like, they didn't know that they were both dating her at the same time. So that was also her being sort of a not great person at the same time.
Yeah.
So, Scott and Ramona, they kind of deserve each other, I'd say.
Oh my god, Chaz, that's so funny because I have my notes right next to me, and one of my bullet points is Ramona plus Scott deserve each other, ... because they suck.
They both suck.
Exactly.
It works. The show works. It expands on what hasn't been expanded on, and that's good.
Yes.
I don't like it when adaptations take what's there and they don't expand on it, and they leave out important things, and they make it worse than it was before. Avatar: The Last Airbender. And they sort of, fudge up everything. You get what I'm saying?
Yes, definitely.
I guess here's the thing. I don't have expectations for anything anymore. Because ultimately, I get disappointed pretty easily, and I get hyped up too easily. I gaslight myself into liking something sometimes.
Fair.
Yeah. I do the same thing.
I also avoid trailers a lot, so I didn't get, unintentionally spoiled. Because if I spoil something, I just spoil it for myself. All I knew is that Scott Pilgrim leaves at the beginning.
He takes off, literally.
Yeah.
Scott Pilgrim dies.
And as someone who's only seen the movie and then, I guess here's my quick Scott Pilgrim media thing. I've seen the movie, I've played the video game, I own the board game.
Love that.
Basically, if there's a piece of Scott Pilgrim media, I have consumed it at some point except for the comics.
Except for the original source material.
You still haven't read the comic,
Love.
Shay?
Yeah.
Alright, well, I have this website. Actually, no, I don't have this website. It's not called readallcomics.com.
That's what I used this week to read all of them.
You didn't use that.
I didn't. Go ahead, Shay.
Here's two things. Number one, I support piracy.
Thank you.
Number two, I hate reading comics online so much.
Also fair.
Respectable.
It's weird. I don't know how to explain it. It's if I have to go on a website, I can't do it, but if it's a webcomic made comic, I'm fine. It's the stupidest thing. I don't know. There's just something about it.
Yeah, because it's kind of Scott Pilgrim was published in a physical copy, so it was made for that versus a webcomic was made for on your phone or on your laptop and stuff like that. I understand how you feel because I'm the same way where I would rather read a physical thing, but
yeah.
Dire times call for dire times.
Desperate measures call for desperate needs.
Yeah.
I don't know the saying.
Yeah, but then also I wasn't desperate, so.
Fair.
Now, Chainsaw Man, I was desperate for some reason. I don't know why. But also I hated reading Chainsaw Man on my phone. I
read Chainsaw Man on my laptop.
Crazy.
I'm almost done reading the first half. I just need to get volumes 8 and
Ooh.
11 to complete.
Wait, do you have it
that.
physically?
Yes.
Dang. I'm broke.
And I'm kind of dumb now because apparently for a time the first half, volumes 1 to 11, they were at a bundle in Amazon
$50?
for 50.
You're getting them off Amazon?
I got them through Target first.
You're getting them through Target?
Because they had the entire series in 20% off, so...
Every day I forget that Target has manga, and then I get so confused when I start seeing Makima plushies at my local Target.
We need Scott Pilgrim plushies at Target. But not Scott Pilgrim.
I wish there was more Scott Pilgrim merch with the anime that came out, but all I've seen is a Hot Topic shirt with the party scene in the first episode of him and Ramona, and that's it.
That makes sense.
There was another shirt too, a Hot Topic, but other than that, I have not seen anything. And it's really weird given how like Netflix, whenever anything hot is on Netflix, they would like make merch out of it and put it everywhere.
Right, like a whole
Yeah.
collection kind of thing, right?
Yeah, and this is like look at Stranger.
Do they?
Yeah, they do.
You also have to keep in mind, too, there's a bigger audience for Stranger Things versus, like, Scott
True.
Pilgrim.
But then Shadow and Bones got a bunch of stuff too.
Yeah, I remember that. I think too, Netflix just does not give a fuck about animation, so there's that too.
Yeah. There's, like, multiple factors to this. Like, I'm more surprised at the lack of merch just in general online.
Oh, for sure.
But, like, even then, their logic's probably also, like, well, it's a franchise where there's literally just a movie, comic books, and now there's a show, so, like, they probably don't feel the need to do that. Because if you want Scott Pilgrim merch, you probably already have it if you're watching the show.
Yeah.
I don't know, like, I feel like they could do, like, more figures.
They should get like a thing of the whole band, and you could just sit them together.
That would be sick. Like anime figures. Didn't they have at least Scott and Ramona?
But it was based on the novel, not the anime, because the outfits were from scenes that didn't make it into the show, I believe. But also the articulations, just the arms and the head that move. Like, they don't move their legs. So it's like, ooh.
I'd eat a Scott Pilgrim figure. I'm not gonna lie to you.
When did you eat one?
Like about a couple weeks ago, I ate one.
What did it taste like?
I eated it, and it tasted like sadness and being into 17-year-old girls.
Oh no.
Interesting.
Yeah, I didn't like it.
What would you rate it?
2 out of 10.
Fair rating.
The 2
actually.
being that
Subpar.
it filled my
Yeah.
stomach.
That's fair.
Never try again.
Microplastics.
This has been Barbara Walters with 7 News.
Yes.
Which Scott Pilgrim medium do you guys think is the superior?
Oh no. Don't ask
The
me.
game.
Mine.
Oh, interesting.
Mine personally, in my opinion, and you guys are gonna laugh at me for this one. I think that's the I don't know. I was gonna say something funny, but I don't have a funny bone in my body.
That's okay.
I got one for y'all.
Yeah.
Don't say the board game.
I wasn't even gonna say that. I can't say anything if people won't play with me. Okay, for context, I have the Scott Pilgrim board game. I've had it for 5 years, I think.
Oh my god.
I still haven't played it because 1, apparently need like 4 players to play. Number 2, because my friends don't want to sit down and watch the 30-minute in-depth rules video with me.
I'll watch it.
So now we can't even play it. Thank you. At least someone has my back.
I'll try it too.
I'll try.
The rest of y'all,
Side eyes.
and you know who you
Side
are.
eyes.
You know who you are.
I'm in the episode.
Rest of you,
Criminally
sleep with
offensive
one eye
side-eye.
open. Lock your doors. Actually, unlock them.
Bombastic
Because even a
side-eye.
locked door can't fight me. It can't hold
Yeah,
me
sure,
back.
Okay.
I know where all of you live.
Hey now.
No, you don't.
Chaz, you're not in this.
Oh,
You got my back.
thank you.
Everyone else, though, and you know who you are.
Side eyes.
You
Side
know who
eyes.
you are. Live in fear. Be scared. Solidarity broken.
She's just outside the window with the board game, just standing out there
Yeah.
staring.
Just like Knives, like looking at the window, like post breakup.
Is Scott here? She's gonna come to the door. Is Caitlin here?
Just gonna-
Caitlin's gonna
Kate,
mash her
don't
head
worry,
through the...
come out. I have a little plushie for you. Don't be scared. I have no weapons.
I'll just zoom through the window, breaking the glass, and then like I like grab my jacket because I forget it through the window.
The entire scene verbatim.
Exactly.
Verbatim. I said 4. Can you guys tell that I'm majoring in literature?
Wow.
To be or not to. Oh wait, that's poetry.
Same thing.
So if you are majoring in literature, I feel like we should talk about writing.
I am a writer, if I do say so myself.
So posh.
The writing in Scott Pilgrim, I'd rate it like maybe like a 5 out of 10. Not as good as mine, but you know, it's good. It's there. It exists. No, I'm joking. The the writing for the comics are really good, I'd say. When you're reading the comics, you get that Scott is a flawed character. Like from the start, they draw it out for you. They tell you what he's doing at the time at the beginning, but they also, when you're reading the comic, they also show the little backstories of how, like, they show when Scott met Kim and when Scott was with Envy. Even though in your brain, like, you're reading Scott Pilgrim, they show those moments from the characters that he's doing wrong, so you can tell this guy he's not that cool. You're also you're sitting there, you're being a bystander. You're not really rooting for him. Like middle school me, I was rooting for him, but then when I reread the comics, I was like, okay, I shouldn't really root for this guy. But at the same time, he's interesting, and you want to see where this goes. I don't think the movie dives that deep, but the movie still shows Scott's character through his actions. So that's one way. When you trade media, you're losing that like that amount of depth, but you're also gaining it through people are watching it, so you can see what he's doing. You can see how he reacts to situations. You see how he talks. It's Michael Cera. Of course, he's going to be dorky and weird. The anime, out of all of them, I'd say my favorite writing does come from the comic. But I think through a visual medium, I do sort of think that the movie was better written. But I do really enjoy the comic for the perspective that it brings. I mean, I said the comic. Did I say the comic? I meant the anime.
Yeah, like, I guess since we were like briefly talking about it during like the chaos minutes, I should specify it. So the anime doesn't follow Scott. It follows Ramona primarily. I don't know if we mentioned it. So basically the whole anime is just like new, like completely new material. But I think for me, I enjoy Scott Pilgrim's writing because everyone's just kind of an asshole. Like, again, like how flawed characters are, because even like, okay, because like I know we've been making jokes like, oh, Scott Pilgrim and a 17-year-old, but that, I don't know, it's like, I don't know how to explain it properly. It's just like everyone's so flawed in the thing, but like that's kind of like the appeal of it, that they just feel very human, I guess, because of it.
I felt like Takeoff, the anime, it kind of reminds me of how the Star Trek 2009 movie is to the original show, in which it's a reboot, but it's connected to the original, so the events of the original still happen. Like a soft reboot. But so like so what I feel is like Takeoff is a sequel / reboot of the novel with elements of the movie, of course.
Right. Like, I think for me, I definitely loved the anime for like standing out, because like I was also in everybody else's shoes where it was like, whoa, this is like totally different. It's basically like a what if like scenario if Scott Pilgrim like didn't like fight the evil exes and stuff like that. Like basically an alternate like reality or universe. Going back to what Chaz's question of like which one of like the different mediums we like the most of Scott Pilgrim, I feel like it'd be hard to kind of like compare the anime with its like both the movie and the comics. So I just read all of the comics, watched the movie, and surprisingly finished the anime again yesterday. The comics, it took like 3 days to read.
The anime's more fresh in your mind than it is to mine, because
Yeah.
I watched it, I think maybe it was a month ago.
Oh, that's fresher than me, so...
Yeah.
Do we have every single sector cover, at least, for memory-wise?
Mostly, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we should. Like, the video game for me, I have the video game. Like, I pre-ordered, like, the complete edition a long time ago, but I could not get over, like, the second level because this game is so hard, and apparently for me, like, I put it on normal mode, and I cannot, like, get past any level over 2. And I'm too stubborn to, like, look up a gameplay.
You're a newbie. You're a scrub. It's okay.
We're
Shut
not
up.
gamers here.
Some people aren't.
I'm a casual
Well,
gamer.
I'm a gamer for real, you guys. And I think Caitlin's just not built for the trenches.
Look, just
Wow.
because Caitlyn does have gamer thumb doesn't mean you can make fun of her.
Thank you, Shay. Thank you.
My thumbs bend in 90 degrees. That's how many video games
That's you need to see a doctor.
Look, I don't think you're a real gamer. Have you played Pop
No.
Tropica? All the islands?
Yes, I have. Yes, I have, actually. Have you played Club
You
Penguin?
got me there, actually.
I don't think so.
I
Yeah,
did
you
play-
have.
Well, not like when I was a kid, no.
Well, it still counts. It's fine.
Played Girls Go Games, Avatar Star Sue. Thought so.
Were you on twoplayergames.com?
No, because I'm an only
Yeah.
child.
Oh,
Person who played Helldivers 2 joins the chat.
I play Helldivers too.
epic. Good for you guys.
Thanks.
I don't know what that is.
I don't either. I think you beat the Scott Pilgrim level for me. Like the Scott Pilgrim game one day. Because
Oh,
I couldn't get
yeah.
past the level because I'm really bad at it.
It's so weird. I don't know why. I was like, this game is probably going to be easy and fun, but no. We never made it past anything.
It'd be like that.
Scott Pilgrim's for gamers. I'm not a gamer.
You can be gamers. You just have to believe.
Gamer, get it? Speaking of gay people,
Back to Scott Pilgrim.
back to Scott Pilgrim.
Love this transition.
Thank you. I try. But yeah, I grew up with Scott Pilgrim with my brother, so we watched the anime together. And the first watching, we were like, this is okay. I'm not gonna lie, like, we thought it was kind of, like, weird because it was different. And, like, we also thought it was, like, going to expand more on, like, what the movie didn't, like, expand on from the comics itself. For me, I was like, okay, I'm gonna give this another chance. So I rewatched it again with my partner, and I was like, wait a minute. This actually goes hard on, like, for what it is. Just because, like you said, Chaz, it was more so, like, Ramona's perspective. Like, this is her show, essentially. And you get to see, like, the different backstories from the different exes and, like, seeing her wrongs, like, especially with, like, Roxy, you definitely get a sense of, like, more development from the other side characters that you didn't get to really see in the comics or the movie at all either, which I thought was, like, really nice.
I had to watch it twice too. I'm not gonna lie to you. Cause it's that initial shock where you're like, bruh, what are we doing with Ramona?
Right.
Get out of here. Show's called Scott Pilgrim. But then you watch it and you're like, oh, I get it. Women.
Scott Pilgrim versus women's rights.
Yeah, it makes perfect sense playing off of what Scott Pilgrim is. Watch Scott Pilgrim, the movie, you read the comics, and you're like, man, you're looking at it through Scott's perspective, and then you're like, what's Ramona's deal? Like, what did she do to these guys?
Right. Why does she keep running?
Everyone in there needs therapy except for maybe Knives
Nah, she deserves a hug.
and young Neil.
Yeah. Knives deserves the world.
I think the show is great. I would want a proper one-to-one thing to the comic book, but that's also undermining the comic book as a medium. I feel like I'm a hypocrite because I always do want these, like, one-to-one adaptations, but at the same time, it's like, you're kind of not respecting what the original was. Avatar: The Last Airbender. Truly appreciating what the original
Right.
brought forth, and then you're begging for something that's, like, already there. Yeah, that's why I don't really treat the MCU movies seriously. I always go in it expecting something fun and cool,
Mhm.
But I always know I'm gonna appreciate the comics way more.
Definitely. I like that perspective because I feel like different kinds of adaptations should be able to coexist without having to be comparing to one another all the time. And like, I think each kind of medium brings a different thing to the table, usually when it's good. Avatar The Last Airbender. Like, I think, for example, like how like the live action movie played with like just the how it just paid homage to the comics, like the exaggeration, like attitude, and like how the different without being like cringeworthy or like over the top, like for
Oh
example
boy.
like thinking about like
Oh.
Cowboy Bebop live action, how much of a mess that was too, apparently. Like, yeah, like it's so like the Scott Pilgrim movie is such a rare occasion where an adaptation really pays homage to it without like being horrible. And I think like for example with in the Scott Pilgrim movie, like there's a lot of visual like multimedia like things that they use too to make it a little more like comic book like to the style of Brian Lee O'Malley's like work, with like the onomatopoeias of like the phone ringing, like action lines, and even using like panels from like Ramona's like backstory when she's explaining different of her exes and stuff like that. And also like paying attention to the wardrobe too and making it how like accurate to like the comics too. Like that's pretty impressive stuff and rare to see an adaptation
It's
do
just so
that.
good.
A lot of little different things like each thing has to offer, and I think that's really awesome that we can like appreciate that. And also like I think Scott Pilgrim as a whole in terms of writing, it's really rare to see like young adulthood media, I guess, like young adult characters being the main like central thing, and you know what it means to deal with like change and rejection and like people coming and going in your life, and what it means to really like let go versus running away versus like facing your issues head on and everything. I think the Scott Pilgrim just makes you really like think about that.
I can only count on one hand the amount of shows, like animated shows and movies for a young adult audience, that really captures that. It's rare, but it's good. It's good. It's really good when it's good,
Yeah.
and when it's bad, you can tell that it's yucky nasty.
Oh, I guess like the one thing I do enjoy a lot, like kind of piggybacking off of like the young adult like cast. I like that they're young adults, but like I don't know, like they're, for lack of a better term, they're all kind of losers.
Yeah, real.
Um,
They're real people, yes.
because I guess too, I know initially it acts like when everyone watched the film was saying like, oh, we're all in middle school. It's interesting now being like everyone's age in the film.
Oh,
Jesus
God.
Christ.
Oh my god. So true.
I used to like idealize it a lot as a kid, like, oh, I want to be cool and like a hipster in Toronto, Canada, and it's snowing,
Felt.
and I've dyed hair. Amazon. But now I'm like, dear God, I just want a job. I'm like, she got a job? Good for her. I wish I could deliver stuff just on my roller skates and that be normal.
In the subspace.
Exactly. Like if she's not bothered by the cold, I wish I was her. I wish I was Ramona. Like, in that sense.
Yeah,
Real.
yeah, in that sense. Not in any other sense, though.
Midwest people wishing they were like Ramona Flowers.
Real Midwestern activities.
Can't relate. But I think that's, I have like a new appreciation for it. I'm like, wow. I'm like, some of them are just like me, just doing whatever. I don't know. It's like interesting rewatching. Like, it's interesting rewatching media from like when you're like technically like out of the age range to watch it, then like kind of circling back to it and being like in the age range and be like, oh, interesting. It's like not exactly the same situation, but I was watching Ugly Betty I was watching Ugly Betty and Nana at the same time, which is crazy.
The whiplash.
And then I was watching Code Lyoko before that. And, like, Code Lyoko as a show is inherently such a middle school show because, like, all these kids are just awful to each other. But then you remember, like, oh, well, when I was in middle school, I was an awful person.
Right.
I would want to wring my neck if I was, like, a 20-year-old looking at me, like, run around with, like, animal hats on. And versus, like, when I'm watching, like, Nana and Ugly Betty, two shows I haven't seen beforehand, but, like, I knew about them. And, like, all the characters are, like, in their very early 20s. And, like, Nana has a similar thing where I'm like, dang, some of you guys are, like, just losers. And groomers.
Oh, no.
But, like, especially losers.
Oh, no.
And then, Ugly Betty is kind of, like, the idealized version of that, where, like, she's very hardworking, and, like, she is, like, basically climbs up the ladder at, like, mode pretty, like, by, like, 25. Like, she's not, like, top head, but, like, it's still, like, her experience is very idealized in comparison. I love Betty, by the way. If it was animated, we would have been talking about this. But basically what I'm saying is it's interesting rewatching stuff that, like, you either saw, like, clips of, or, like, you watch the whole thing, or, like, have, like, a very, like, small idea of, and then watching it when you're in, like, that prime age range, or, like, out of that age range, and kind of, like, seeing yourself step into the characters more or finally understand what's going on.
Such an awesome observation, because it's like, while you were, like, talking about that, I was like, being a young adult is so weird right now. Like, most of us are out of college and, like, trying to figure ourselves out in this weird period transition of, like, okay, what now? Like, we've been conditioned to, like, learn or, like, be used to, like, oh, you know, it's like another year of school, like, it's fine, like, we'll figure it out. We go to class, and now, like, just being, like, out of that kind of structure and, like, watching Scott Pilgrim or whatever, it's like, huh, maybe I am living in my own Scott Pilgrim, like, story right now, because, like, I feel like a total, like, not loser, but, like, definitely at this weird, like, stage of what it means to be, like, a regular person trying to look for, like, something, a job, or, like, you know, figuring yourself out as a person and the relationships you have with other people and what it means to, like, pursue different kinds of, like, I don't know, like, different things in your life and how to prioritize, like, those kinds of, like, needs as a human being a young adult now. Like, it's so weird. I don't know.
Yeah, it's basically just second puberty. That's what it is. It's just second puberty.
Oh, I don't want to go through it again. Go ahead.
Well, too bad.
The existential crisis is kicking in real bad. I'm kidding.
Yeah, quarter life crisis. It's gonna be so fun.
I'm so sorry to bring that up. Like, I think it's just hitting me.
No, you're good. It's really weird to think about. It's not like there's, like, a crazy lack of media for people who are, like, in their early 20s, right? For live action, especially. Like, there's a lot of stuff. Animation, not as much. Like, you kind of have to, like, go searching for it. I just kind of consume everything, no matter what technically the age range I should be watching it. Because to me, I'm like, a good show's a good show, I'm gonna watch it.
Yeah.
I don't know, I think also Scott Pilgrim, since I watched it in middle school, and, like, I kind of was like, this is, like, I find it kind of, like, a weird goal, again, to be, like, oh, I want to be, like, a hipster and stuff. And now I'm, like, in a position where I'm, like, peak loserdom.
We're all Scott.
And that, yeah.
But not really.
Like, it's just more so, like, I guess now, when I watch him, like, yes, he has, like, crazy mess-ups. Crazy mess-ups. But then I'm like, well, if you're living life breathing air, and you don't know how to get there, is it truly wonderful? No. So yeah, of course he's gonna mess up. Long story short, Scott as a character, I find very interesting because he's literally just, like, doing, like, general fuck-ups like a 22-year-old does. Not so much, like, my logic. Like, I wouldn't be like, let me go to a Catholic school and pick up a 17-year-old. But, like, you understand that, like, that's kind of the point Brian makes in his writing, to be like, Scott's a flawed person. Here's one of the flaws. Like, it's not, like, glorifying it, I should say. Because I think also, like, post-anime, when people are, like, revisiting it, I don't know. Basically what I'm saying is also, sometimes literacy, like, reading literacy is kind of dead when you explain stuff to people. I think Scott has a lot of nuance, and, like, I think it's very interesting, even though you would disagree with what he does a lot of the time. And, like, same thing with, like, a lot of the side characters. Like, a lot of the side characters are also just, like, huh? Why are you doing that? But then you remember, like, they're in their early 20s, they're acting like middle schoolers because that's what happens. But
that's what happens.
Yeah.
I was just gonna quickly mention, like, it just comes to show that, like, even young adults can, like, seriously fuck up and make mistakes all the time, and you can definitely meet, like, shitty people who do shitty things. And, like, the whole, like, Scott Pilgrim is dating knives thing, it's like, obviously nobody wants to defend that. Scott is so immature, at least in the beginning of, like, the story and everything. And as, like, just to exaggerate how immature Scott is.
Like, I also just, again, it's like in the young adult. They're still young. Your brain doesn't develop until you're, like, 25.
Exactly.
Completely. Like, again, this isn't, like, a defense of, like, Scott's actions. It's just, like, more so, like, I don't know how to explain anything. I just yap on this thing. I yap on this podcast and I, like,
real.
After we don't record, like, knock out.
Honestly, I love the whole cast of Scott Pilgrim, but, like, every character just has a flaw to them, and everybody's, like, mean to Scott, and, like, sometimes mean in general. Like, for example, Julie Powers, like, she's based. I love her.
We know
I love
you
her to
love
death.
Her.
Yes. For those who can't see right now, we're on a Discord call, and my profile is Julie Powers.
We all have our little characters that we enjoy, and Kate loves Julie, because at first I was like, I love Julie, but then I saw Kate's devotion to her, and it was really scary.
No one can love Julie.
I love
more than
Kim.
me.
I love Kim. I think Kim Pines was one of my first crushes when I was reading it.
Valid, to be honest.
My other favorite character is Lucas Lee. But it's because of the movie.
Chris Evans. That guy.
Yeah. The casting in the movie's really good. From my perspective, I haven't read the comics, I'm sorry. For me, it's, like, obviously, like, harder for me to separate, like, the actors from the characters, since I've only seen that, and then the anime also uses the movie cast for the English dubbing of it.
Yes!
For the anime. I think everyone did a good job, and also, I will always... Michael Cera, because I know, like, initially, from, like, what I've read, people didn't really like him as Scott in the movie.
Oh.
If you ever seen Michael Cera act, you kind of know, like, how he is usually typecast and how, like, he plays, like, really dorky characters and stuff. So it's kind of the same thing. And I guess, like, some people read Scott as, like, a bit cooler. I don't know.
That's so interesting. Like, I've always seen Scott as a dorky guy, and, like, I read everybody's, like, when I read the comics, it's like I read everybody's voices based on the actors of the movie, because it's just a perfect cast for me, and it's so awesome to see, like, how almost every actor has reached, like, a successful, like, point in their careers.
Yeah,
now.
No, that's, like, the crazy part.
Yeah.
It's watching that movie and, like, being like, oh, there's Captain America. There's Captain Marvel.
Crazy.
April from Parks and Rec.
That one guy from Succession.
One of them was in that
Kieran
show?
Culkin, who plays Wallace, my favorite.
Oh!
Yeah.
Don't make me show the cunty picture of Kieran again. Don't make me show it.
It's really cool to see Matthew Patel's character expanded upon in the anime too.
Mm-hmm.
Just because after the first battle, first volume, he's gone. He kind of just obviously dead after that. But like, just to kind of see him like defeat Gideon and stuff like that was like an interesting choice in becoming like the CEO throughout the show.
Yeah.
And how much of like a dorky idiot he still is.
It's quite interesting what they did with Gideon, because if you remember, Scott Knives and Ramona had a hard time trying to beat Gideon, and Matthew Patel beating Gideon is like, dang. So is Matthew like more powerful? Like, wait, are every single X more powerful than we thought given the circumstances? Or under different circumstances, they're different power set level?
Yeah. That I was curious about that too.
I completely forgot Gideon Graves was a character.
There's so many characters.
You're real for that.
That man pissed me off when he showed up in the movie.
I love him though. He's Evil Bay for real. I don't know. Jason Schwartzman, like, that's Bay.
That's the spot.
I love how everyone's like, that's a spot, and I'm like, oh, he was in Marie Antoinette.
That's me, but like, he was also in the new Hunger Games movie.
Oh god.
He's everywhere. So crazy.
And Ted Lasso, but I haven't seen Ted Lasso.
Me neither. I'm in sort of like a small Scott Pilgrim fandom space and like on like Twitter, and like people were complaining about how like easily defeated Gideon was in the show, just because like obviously like you said, Fern, the comics itself, they were having a hard time trying to defeat him, and he's like this like evil overlord CEO type of guy, and they kind of turned him into like a male wife in the anime, and like surprisingly shipped him with like Julie and stuff, which I thought was really cute. I'm not gonna lie, we love a male wife era for a villain. But yeah, like, so for some reason people thought it was
so
a mischaracterization, which I totally see, but at the same time I'm like, I'm kind of okay with this, considering, yeah.
I think it shows his growth as a character. You can't have him be stagnant forever. You just can't. Otherwise, you'd sit there and you'd be like, oh, yeah.
Yeah, and it's also the fact that he's not, like, the main villain in the anime.
Yeah.
You know?
It's Scott.
What's interesting is that Gideon is actually a readaptation of himself, kind of. Because he's, like, the oldest character that we know of. Because in the movie and in the novel, he's 31. But now he's 23 to 24 in the anime.
Wait, they changed his age?
Oh, that's interesting.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Yeah, they switched his age.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah. Fern, did you, like, is that, like, official? Like, in the anime? For his age?
It's in the fandom wiki, too.
Oh.
Like, I even searched it up. I'm like, because Julie is around the same age as Scott.
Yeah.
So Gideon being classmates with Julie shouldn't be possible.
Or he just got kept back a bunch.
He just got kept super senior.
Like, where my hug at?
Hey, relax. Hey, yo.
Hey, yo. Yeah, that's interesting, though. Thank you for that, because, like, we were also questioning about Gideon's age, because it's, like, at the same time, Gideon's just a mysterious guy in general. So it's like, what if he, like, just faked his age or something, or, like, I don't know, did some weird memory shit to Julie or something. But, like, yeah, no, it's interesting that they did that to, you know, form that, like, surprising relationship with Julie, and, like, make them have, like, a past together, like, in high school and stuff.
And his friendship with Lucas is only in the anime, too.
Oh, that too. I thought that was really sweet.
I remember I was talking about Michael Cera. I enjoy Michael Cera's voice acting a lot, like a crazy amount.
He's
experienced. I know he's experienced. It's just like I don't know, I always forget. Because I remember I was watching like the Lego Batman movie, aka the best Batman movie.
He was in the movie?
Yes, he's Robin.
Oh, snap.
I'd argue the Batman is better, but you know, it's cool.
I think your opinion is wrong.
Oh, that's a good movie too, though.
As someone who has seen every Batman movie, which means the Lego Batman movie, and the first ever Batman movie, I am overly qualified to talk about Batman. I've seen 3 of these movies.
I've also seen all of those movies. I've also watched all the animated series. I also watched the 60s television show.
Oh, me too, actually. Yeah.
With the groovy Batman. And I have lots of Batman comics. I think it's physically impossible to read all of them, but I've read most of them.
I think Shay's still qualified.
Yeah, 3 movies.
She's qualified.
3 movies.
Yes. A trilogy.
She's overqualified, actually.
Yeah.
I only watch the movies that matter.
Go ahead about the Michael Cera.
Oh, but yeah, I think Michael, if he doesn't do more voice acting, like, I know he's done, I think, Berenstein Bears when he was a kid, and I know he's done Lego Batman and a bunch of other stuff, but I need him in more voice acting roles because I enjoy him so much.
He should be replaced by Aquafina. Aquafina's in too many things.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Michael Cera should have been the dragon from Raya.
Yes.
He should have. It would have oh my gosh, thinking about it, it would have been so much better. In my brain, I'm thinking about it.
Actually, as an Asian person, I'd give Michael Cera and Jack Black the pass for that. Especially to replace Aquafina.
He should also replace Aquafina in that new Kung Fu Panda movie.
Please! You're so right. I forgot about that too. Going back to the cast of Scott Pilgrim, it was really surprising to see everybody from the movie, or like here, obviously. Because like reading the same article that I mentioned before, like essentially like Brian like reached out in an email chain, or like he still had everybody else's emails and then sent over like the opportunity for the anime, and like just in one night everybody responded with a yes. So it was just really cute to see that, like, how close like the cast was to making this like amazing project.
I loved hearing that story. One, because like I know they said like Chris Evans was like the first one to respond back, and then everyone else did. And then they reminded me, they're like, oh yeah, Michael Cera's flip phone.
Flip phone?
Yeah, Michael Cera has a flip phone. Like, that's his only phone.
Oh my god.
Yeah, like his whole, like, he has literally just a flip phone. Similar to like Chris Pine.
What?
Oh.
I don't know why I know.
He never had a smartphone?
I don't think so.
Wow.
No.
Wow.
Like, I guess because that's why people were like, oh, we don't know if we can get in contact with him because he just has like a little flip phone.
It'd be funny if he was just like texting the email on his flip phone.
He probably was, because you can do that.
Exactly.
But yeah, no, I always liked hearing stories about the cast, because it just sounded like they had a lot of fun. The anime itself, like, we don't have, technically not everyone returned. Like, the twins didn't return. Someone said it was because they didn't know English or something, which is also why I didn't have lines in the movie.
Yeah, I remember reading about that too. Like, in the casting like description, they forgot to add that that the actors should have knew how to speak English, but they forgot to do that.
They got Anna Kendrick back.
Icon.
They got everyone
back.
Anna
Kendrick.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just want to make note of, I love Anna Kendrick. It has to be on record.
Shout out to Trolls.
Shout out to Pitch Perfect. Shout out to Trolls.
Yes.
I watched all 3 of the Trolls movies in one sitting.
Yeah, Shay and I are in the process of watching
That
it.
sounds like
It's
a pain.
not. It's a
It's
fun
a pain.
time.
Whoa,
a pain.
Those movies are
Whoa.
decent.
Time to fight Fern again.
Actually,
oh my goodness.
though.
First Power Rangers 2017. Now this.
I have to agree
Wow.
with the Power Rangers 2017 sentiment. That movie
Chaz.
sucks.
No.
Chaz.
I'm the largest Power Rangers fan of all time. Caitlin knows this.
I suppose.
I don't like that movie.
Remember when I said that you were safe from my wrath earlier? You're not anymore. I know where you live.
No!
Unlock your doors.
After slightly rewatching 2017 Rangers, I will let it slide briefly, not completely, because those designs for the suits are kind of cool, but the lore is really messy.
All of you hate fun.
No, actually, though, I was there for the fun and the characters and the interactions and gay people.
Y'all hate knockoff Breakfast Club with 100 gex visuals so badly. Don't talk trash about the Trolls films.
Yeah, Trolls films are beautiful. The newest one was great.
Like, it's literally just like a Baby Century video, and like, that's the fun of it.
I usually hate jukebox musicals, but Trolls is an exception.
Why does everyone hate jukebox musicals?
I love jukebox musicals. They're fun.
I do too.
They can work. It just depends on the story and the song.
It's because most of the jukebox musicals that I've seen are silly goofy. I don't know.
You hate silly and goofy?
Yeah, I hate silly goofy. I'm a serious guy.
Man. Chaz, I thought I could trust you.
Sleep with one eye open.
They should make Scott Pilgrim into a jukebox musical.
Name one song that would go into Scott Pilgrim. Besides the song Scott Pilgrim.
They should do a song by Radiohead.
Nice.
They should do Creep. I'm a creep.
They would, actually.
I'm a weirdo.
I want like a Midwest emo song. but I want it to be like the argument between Ramona and Scott, and then that's when like the guitar comes in, and that's like the intro, and then it leads into the song.
Oh, so a Paramore song.
No. Paramore's not Midwest emo.
Is Radiohead Midwest emo?
I don't know. I'm not a music expert.
Oh,
No, but the Smashing Pumpkins are.
Smashing Pumpkins?
Yeah, they're definitely emo. They're from the Midwest because the group, they were from Chicago.
But do they do like the Midwest emo trope? Like the trope of Midwest emo?
Oh.
Like that's what I'm saying. Like it doesn't have to be like emo band from the Midwest. It has to be Midwest emo. I need like the stupid
What makes it Midwest? Because like the only thing I'm thinking about is Fall Out Boy because they're from Chicago.
Oh, like so Midwest emo, like basically what I'm talking about, again, I'm not a music expert, I'm sorry to all the actual Midwest emo fans out there. But like basically the whole thing, so like the whole trope is like in the beginning of the song there's like an argument or like a phone conversation, right? So it's like hello, and then like and then like a math riff comes in. So it's like and then like
that's Weezer.
Yeah, basically Weezer. I want a Weezer song. Wait, I gave up the love of my dreams in this movie. I think it would work.
No, the sweater song by Weezer would work.
Oh yeah.
Sweater weather? No, I'm joking.
No.
I'm joking. No.
That's the neighborhood.
I know, he's not Midwest. He's LA.
The sweater song would work so well because it's like, hey, you're going to this party, man? Yeah. Isn't this band cool, man? Yeah. It's literally the beginning of Scott.
My other option, Bootylicious by Destiny's Child, but like a really sad version of it.
That would work.
What?
I agree.
Yeah.
Why? Because Lucas Lee?
No, right. Wait a minute.
No. Just because. I don't care about Lucas Lee.
Take that back.
I don't care about Lucas Lee in that way.
Oh, okay.
There.
Okay.
Is everyone good?
Yeah.
Okay. Immediately, I get, like, guns were pointed at me.
Yeah, we were gonna do what you do to us, but we're gonna do it to you.
Speaking of Lucas Lee, Even Flow from Pro Skater.
Even Flow!
When he's skateboarding.
Nice.
I want the song from Tony Hawk Boom Boom Sabotage done.
Whoever's good at sound design or editing, can you get the paparazzi fight with Lucas and replace the song with Even Flow? Because that would make it 100%. Because it's already a pro skater.
It's Pro Skater song.
Send it over to Fern when you get a chance, listeners.
Socials are in the bio or whatever description.
Oh yeah, so like Shay, you were mentioning about Michael Cera.
I just think out of the cast, like the ones who obviously have like more voice acting experience did better. But like I just always like Michael Cera's like delivery, and I especially like because the reason why I brought up earlier with like people not really liking how he did Scott Pilgrim, because his Scott Pilgrim's very also monotone, or like doesn't react super big like initially, but like in the anime when like he's there, he's like really, for lack of a better word, animated. I'm like, oh wow, Scott's a little cutie patootie. I want to pinch his cheeks, but I'm like, and I remembered Scott Pilgrim. I'm like, I don't care anymore.
Punches him.
Yeah.
Kicks him in the shins.
But then, like, in comparison, like, I'm sorry, Kate, cover your ears.
Uh-huh.
Like, Julie's voice acting wasn't, like, my complete favorite.
Oh.
So I did not
Yeah.
cover my ears.
I told you to.
Well, I did it.
Like, it's like, I think she's fine. I think it's just, like, is it Aubrey or
Audrey.
Audrey? I never remember.
It's Aubrey. Yeah.
Aubrey, yeah.
With Aubrey Plaza's voice, like, with voice acting, I always felt very iffy about it, because it, like, for, like, animation, I feel like it doesn't always translate well, weirdly.
Yeah, no, that's fair, because I think Aubrey Plaza, I think she does well in, like, live action more than, like, animation, for some odd reason.
Yeah. I'm also saying this as someone who's watched Legend of Korra, like, all of it, and she's in that. I don't know, those are, like, the two I immediately think of, because everyone else I felt like was okay. Like, they were good. It was, like, a good bit. I didn't watch the Japanese dub either, so I can't say anything about that, but I've heard good things also. I know Firuza Ai voices Ramona, and she voices Jolene in Power, so...
Nice.
I also heard that the person that voices either Chika or Kaguya from Kaguya-sama is Knives in the Japanese dub.
When I'm watching, like, because I watch anime frequently, I should be paying attention more to the voice actors, I feel.
Like, when Firuza Ai, I follow her also because she has really cool fashion sense. And then also she keeps popping up in stuff, and I follow JoJo kind of closely. Like, that's the only reason why I know that. Because she was like, oh, like, I voiced Ramona. I was like, oh, cool. I like how I said that, like, I'm friends with her. I'm not, obviously.
Just having a casual conversation with her, like... No way.
Yeah. She said Steel Ball Run's coming out next year.
Still,
Don't worry.
ball, run.
I think I'd like to ask people's thoughts about, like, the representation in general, in terms of, like, queer, like, relationships. I think, like, specifically with Wallace and Todd, I was very surprised to see that come to play in the anime.
Todd cheating on NB Adams is a canon event, but I didn't expect Wallace to be the person he cheated NB on.
That's so true.
Yeah. Like, I will say this about Scott Pilgrim. It's always a really... In terms of its queerness... Okay, Todd and Wallace drew me off. I just wasn't expecting it when watching it. I was like, interesting. But then also, like, I guess the way it happened too kind of reminded... Okay. Let's talk about shipping.
Oh boy.
Here we go.
Scott and Wallace.
Yes.
Here's the thing. The whole Todd and Wallace thing then brought up conversation about Scott and Wallace because Wallace got with Todd while Todd was dressed up as Scott for the Scott the Pilgrim movie within the anime.
Wait a minute. You're so right.
Someone else pointed this out. I was like, oh.
Oh my god.
Like, I don't really care about shipping and, like, Scott Pilgrim, because I'm like, I just don't. But, like, when someone brought that, I'm like, wait, that's interesting.
That is. Like, considering there was a lot of, like, not, like, hinting, but, like, flirtation interactions between Scott and Wallace, like, in the comics. You're like, my bitch forever, Scott, and all that.
In the movie, one time Scott is talking to Wallace, and then two other dudes, like, get up from the same bed they were in together.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, like other Scott.
Scott. Is there something you're not telling?
Like, I think... Okay, I can't obviously speak on, like, if Wallace is good representation for, like, gay guys. I obviously can't. I can't have her talk about Roxy. They do her dirty, like, so badly, and it makes me upset for her, just because Ramona's, like, really, really rude to her, and I like that the anime fixed that.
Yes.
I'm so happy that the anime
Thank
fixed that.
God, right?
Okay, for context, in the movie, like, I don't know if the comics are, like, how similar they are in that respect. But in the movie, like, a lot of Roxy's and, like, Ramona's relationship, like, Ramona especially is like, oh, it's just a phase that I had. And, like, I mean, also in general, like, the movie is kind of, like, mainly with Roxy, it's, like, the one that, like, Ramona doesn't really take accountability for the most.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, Roxy's, like, obviously upset about it. And then also, like, of course, there's, like, jokes and stuff where it's, like, bi-curious, well, I'm a little bi-furious. And then, like, Hasbian, etc.,
Yeah.
etc. Versus, like, in the anime where there's, like, basically each episode, the anime kind of focuses on, like, a different ex of Ramona's, but, like, instead of it, like, she's, like, immediately fighting them, she's, like, repairing her relationship with them, or, like, getting some kind of, like, good closure with them. And, like, Roxy's especially, I think, was good because, one, they actually show what was happening, because in the movie they didn't. They just, like, Ramona just quickly, like, explains it, versus, like, her getting, like, a whole backstory.
Yeah.
Like, in film, Roxy and, like, the twins don't get, like, the little, like, comic backstory things. But Matthew and Todd do, I think. I don't think Gideon gets one. But, like, it's Gideon, so, like, I don't care as much in that respect. I'm sorry. I like Gideon. I do like Gideon, but, like...
Yeah.
At that point in the movie, it would feel weird, too.
No, that's totally fair.
But in the anime, like, it shows Ramona, like, owning up for what she did. Also, like, they don't really do, like... In the anime, I don't think that they do, like, oh, Ramona's 100% straight either. Ramona's like, I'm sorry that I was just, like, a really shitty person. Which I thought was, like, a better angle for it, too.
Definitely.
Yeah.
That's all I can really speak of. I mean, like, Kim is also queer,
Yes.
too. But, like, it's, like, as, like, people who didn't, like, read or, like, know about the comics as much, it's, like, kind of, like, the way they introduce it's, like, kind of a joke, because, like, there's a running joke about, like, when you kiss people, there's, like, fireworks.
Sparks.
Yeah.
And so, like, Kim and Roxy kiss, but there was, like, no fireworks, and they're like, okay, whatever.
Sparks are real?
No.
Oh,
well.
Wallace.
Oh my god. Yeah, like, it's really cool. I know we'll talk more about art soon, but it's a really nice, like, visual motif, like, to see that. But yeah, no, like, reading the comics, like, with Roxy and Ramona's relationship, it definitely feels very one-sided. Like, it's not really, like, mentioned in a way that is expanded in the anime, and I think that's really nice to, like, see that, because Roxy deserves the world. And she's like,
Yeah.
she's like that because of, like, Ramona being a shitty person.
Also, the problem wasn't, like, it was one-sided completely. As someone who watches a lot of things, Utena, where, like, there's, like, crazy one-sidedness happening in queer relationships. I don't, like, it's just more so, like, the way it was handled in the movie was just, like, pretty poor. Especially, like, as the movie aged. Like, that's the thing. Because, like, you could argue, like, for its time, it was, like, okay.
Right. Yeah. Like, it, with the whole, like, phase joke, it definitely gives off, like a biphobic kind of thing, like, queer, like, homophobic in general kind of thing. I'm glad that they, like, fixed it, so then there's, like, depth as well as, like, more, like, authenticity behind the relationship between Roxy and Ramona.
The fight with Roxy in the movie ends kind of weird.
Yeah, I rewatched the movie, like, basically 30 minutes before recording, and I'm also glad did they take that out of the anime, right?
The behind the knee thing?
Yeah.
That was never in the novel either.
No,
That was
because
just
Oh,
the
so they
movie.
did that just
well,
to do that?
they
Okay.
referenced it was weird because it was Envy who had that weak point in the comics and not Roxy. And it was weird that they, like, implemented that to Roxy in the movie. Yeah.
Okay. This feels a little bit more icky, and I don't like that.
It was played
Yeah.
off as a strange joke, but it was
Yeah.
younger me saw that in the movie and laughed.
I just didn't process it. Like, I generally forget that, like, the joke exists until I watch it. I'm like, oh, right, that is there.
It's still very awkward.
Yeah, definitely.
Silly, but it's now kind of like a little weird. Especially the way how, like, in the novel, apparently she and Scott have like an actual sword duel.
Yeah.
Which that reminds me, everything about Knives' family is like absent in every single form of media outside of the novel.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, I felt like I saw her family in the movie, but then I realized I didn't.
Yeah, no.
And I was like, I know there's something with her family.
Yeah. Nowhere to be seen. It's just Knives. She's just kind of there. Which I don't mind. Like, I'm very glad that she is now part of, like, Sex Bomb, and I don't know, I thought it was really interesting to see her, like, develop a friendship with Steven and, like, make the, like, at first, like, it was, in the anime, it was going to be a movie, but Scott's Precious Little Life, they called it, when, young Neil / future Ramona, until, you know, she gets revealed later, but it was interesting to see that they were, like, trying to come up with, like, a musical version of Scott Pilgrim, with Matthew together. Like, I thought that was kind of funny.
I just feel like this is, like, a very, like, not harsh way to say it. The anime felt like Scott Pilgrim apology tour.
Apology
kinda
tour.
did.
Yeah.
They're like, hey, we're sorry that, like, Knives was like that. We're sorry that the whole thing with Roxy was like that.
Yeah.
If you're a fan of the twins, fuck you.
Wait, does the
They
twins have any fans?
they barely had any presence in the movie, and they have like no presence in the show.
They're
Yeah.
just like, oh,
I was gonna say, in the show, they have more presence than in
Yeah.
the movie, because in that movie, they just, like, show up,
They show up.
get defeated, and then dip.
Exactly.
Like,
I did like the twins in the anime because there was, like, an actual proper backstory behind that with Ramona, and then, like, them being friends with, like, future Scott or whatever. Yeah, like, I could definitely see their personalities more in the anime than I could, obviously, in the movie.
yeah. And then what's interesting is that the robot that they have, apparently that's not the only robot they have in the novel, but for the show, it's like, oh yeah, we'll only have like one little robot that is like connected to space-time, I guess.
Vegan robot.
Vegan robot.
I'm also glad that they scrapped the whole, like, Knives and Kim relationship because it was present in the comic and then also in the video game.
Video game, yeah.
oh, right.
Relationship. Oh.
Yeah.
God, this really is, like, Chainsaw Man.
No.
But no, there was also not a mention of, like, gay Steven in the anime when it was mentioned in the comics. But,
Yeah.
you know,
It was
it's
never
fine.
It was never mentioned in the movie either.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
But the game does
Yeah.
mention it. The video game does mention it, though.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Apparently. Because like, every single character has, like, a ending.
Oh. Fun.
We were robbed. Also, that...
Good for him.
Yeah.
But also, apparently, Steven was Julie's ex.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
They never mention it in the movie or the anime. It's only...
They do.
They do mention it in the movie.
It's
They
very
do.
quick.
It's in, like, the first few minutes.
We should draw out a relationship chart
Like
for
what
all
Brian
the
did
characters.
in, like,
Yeah.
in his covers, yeah.
Like, it's, like, the thing is with the movie, it's, like, there's a lot of very quick things. It's, like, a movie you kind of have to pay attention to. Okay, I thought Nye's family was in this movie for some reason. They're not. They're absolutely not. But, like, I've seen, like, comic things, so I gaslit myself into thinking, Or was it like a deleted scene?
True.
Because that's also a possibility. I do remember there being like a live action set of like a dinner table.
Probably. I haven't seen the deleted scenes except for the ending scene where like weirdly Scott ends up with knives, which I'm glad they did not do.
But yeah, I don't know. Scott Pilgrim and like queer representation, I feel like I like it because it's messy, but like it's also like messy in like like in the wrong ways where I'm like, I'm like, that's weird.
Right.
But like, go off, I guess.
The anime was just the apology tour, like you said.
I no, because that's what it feels like. Like after like watching the movie again and then like hearing people like talk about the comics and everything, like this really is just the apology tour.
Yeah. Like it's really, at least it's nice to know that like some franchises can like change and rework what their wrongs from their previous like work.
Mm-hmm.
But you know who else they forgot in this anime?
Who did they
A lot of
forget, Kate?
characters.
Miss Lisa Miller from the comics.
I was about to bring her
Yeah.
up.
Because guess what I watched? Guess what I watched also before we came in
What
here?
did you
Scott Pilgrim was
watch?
the animation.
Yes.
Yes, Scott Pilgrim the animation,
go.
and like it's like a fun like supplemental. Oh, for like context, Scott Pilgrim the animation was a Adult Swim short that aired right before the movie came out. And it's like a prequel, basically explaining how like Kim and Scott got together, but it mainly focuses on like Scott and his friend Lisa.
Yes.
I don't know anything about this woman except she shows up in this. She plays the guitar. She's like, "You like Kim? Okay." Then like she's not in anything else ever again.
In the novel, she is like in book 4.
Yeah, like Lisa is basically, so she becomes an actress and she meets up with Scott in the comics at a mall, and like, you know, they get together before she's like, "Oh, I'm going to Hollywood to like pursue my career and stuff like that." And then like basically she was kind of another like conflict of Scott because Lisa also liked him.
Mm-hmm.
Like in high school and stuff like that. And then Kim didn't know that Scott was moving, and Scott told Lisa that he was moving, and Lisa told Kim. Just a little tidbit thing, but yeah.
Okay, because in the animation, she's just like, "You're moving."
No, right? Just Kim walking
and then
away.
he moves. Like
that scene of Kim walking away is so funny to me. I'm sorry.
It's very comedic.
Yeah. But Lisa was only mentioned in the movie when Julie's like mentioning like Scott's like wrongdoings of like towards women. She's like, that one time with Lisa, and then he's like, that was a misunderstanding, and that was it of Lisa in the movie.
Apparently, she has a cameo in the anime.
Oh yeah. At the
Very
last
last
episode
scene.
where they're all
At the
sitting
very
in
last
the theater
scene?
for the musical. Yeah.
Like, you could
But she's
barely
blonde.
notice her.
Yeah.
Yeah, she got Mike Wazowski'd.
Yeah, basically. Like, you can't see her face. It's just her hair and some of her, like, dress. Yeah. I love Lisa. She's fun. She's like a, like, happy-go-lucky type, which is obviously a Kate Core character.
is it?
Kate Core.
Kate Core's funny because it would be like either the most happiest character ever or like the character's gonna beat up the happy character. I think it's really funny.
I have two sides to me.
Apparently, Lisa was in the game, too. Like a background character.
Oh, yeah. That too.
But it's interesting because her hair's pink instead of blonde. And I remember seeing a video where they were talking about how the pink hair was actually potentially on purpose, since her first ever appearance before Scott Pilgrim was like in another comic, and she had pink hair in that.
One thing about Brian, he will reuse his characters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking of just design, then, what are people's thoughts about the art and animation?
I've been waiting for this one. I've been waiting
Shay
for
section.
this one. Here it is. So, as someone who watched Scott Pilgrim the animation and the anime and have seen panels of the comics, it's very interesting to see kind of like the differences picked up. So the anime, I think, one does a really good job of adapting the designs, but also kind of making them their own. And also it's like it feels more reminiscent of like Brian Lee. Is it O'Malley or
I say O'Malley, but I'm not even sure myself.
okay? It's more reminiscent of his more like how his art style is now in comparison to like the comics and like the animation, where like they're basically 1-to-1 recreations. Where like there's like thicker lines and like it feels like I don't know, like it like kind of like an ink or brush pen. I think it's like like an ink pen versus like the anime where everything like there's like thinner lines, but then also like there's like different design like sensibilities, but they still it looks good. The anime looks really good. Like if you don't even want to watch it, just watch it on mute and look at the pretty pictures. It's Cocomelon.
It's Cocomelon. Child censor.
Yeah, like just watch it. Like watch the scene with like the fireworks and whatever. But I think visually it's very gorgeous. I also like the animation, what they chose to do with it, and like it feels very atmospheric. I don't know. I like it.
Yes,
I like it.
definitely. Because isn't the production studio Science Saru?
Science Saru.
Yes.
I also love Science Saru. It was founded by my favorite director, Masaki Yuasa.
Okay, work.
So, yeah, he also he did the Adventure Time food chain.
Yes.
Oh
episode.
wow.
And then he also made one of my favorite movies, The Night is Short Walk On Girl.
I was about to mention
Ping Pong the animation.
Devilman Crybaby.
Yeah. He's done a lot of stuff. Like, I'm normal about him. I'm normal about Science Saru.
Wait, you said the food chain episode from Adventure Time?
Yeah.
Oh my god. I love that episode.
That's cool. Like, didn't they also do Star Wars Visions?
Yes.
Nice.
2 of them.
Okay.
I'm gonna say I don't participate in Star Wars anymore. Those days are behind me.
No.
Because I just read about it and I was like, oh, that's cool.
Yeah, I just remember hearing that Scott Pilgrim about Science Saru. I remember I screamed. Because I think, like, you posting, like, your Discord, and, like, I was like, oh, Scott Pilgrim, and I'm like, Science Saru? But, yeah, no, they have I really like their stuff. Even outside, like, I don't think Masaki Yuasa is, like, with with them anymore, but, I like their stuff. I'm normal. But I think they did a great job, like, adapting the designs, and, like, everyone looks really good. Oh, and then Titmouse, I'm pretty sure, did the Scott Pilgrim, the animation. And I'm only saying this because I saw their logo, like, in the background of one shot.
Oh, cool.
Like, at, like, Scott or Scott or Lisa's house when they were practicing. And I was like, that's Titmouse, isn't it? And, like, now I'm like, I want to see, like, another go from Titmouse to do a Scott Pilgrim thing. Even though I'm like, I don't want another Scott Pilgrim thing ever right now. Okay, like, again, Titmouse has, like, very different, like, animation styles, so, like, it's not always gonna be 1-to-1. But, like, just imagine, like, Motor City animation. I love Motor City. I'm really annoying about it. Motor City's, like, animation for Scott Pilgrim will also be, like, really sick. Or, like, I don't know, like, Scott Pilgrim, but, like, in like, how Code Monkeys, the show from, like, G4, is. Like, that would be kind of cool. Like, full-on, like, pixel Scott Pilgrim show.
Ooh.
Not so much, like, video. Like, the video game's also really cool. I love the direction for that. But this is a very long tangent. I'm sorry.
No.
I like things.
We all like things.
Yeah. Like, I think those are good comparisons. Yeah. I just enjoyed, like, looking at just watching the anime for its visuals because it's so good and everything is so, like, fluid and, like, flows together. I think what really stood out to me was that one scene between Knives and Kim when they're having like that jam session, and it's just like flying colors and like lots of, I don't know, it's just really cool to see like music visualized through animation. Yeah, no, like it was just really beautiful and vibrant, and I really liked that scene. That stood out to me. I don't know if anybody else had any like good like moments.
I, in terms of animation, I think it really drove into me by that final episode how well everything was animated. Because when I sit through and watch something that's well animated, my brain's like puts itself in the show, and I sometimes I forget I'm watching something that's animated. I'm just sitting there and I'm watching it, and I'm like, damn, this is good.
Yeah.
It wasn't the final episode. I think it was the second to final episode. I need to refresh my memory.
Pull up the link right now. Let's watch it all.
Watch party.
You know what? Yeah. Let's just watch it right now. It's in the final episode. The world versus Scott Pilgrim. It's in the middle, and I love it when animation does this. It's when you have facial expressions. It's when Ramona comes into the scene to help Scott fight the big Scott, and you can see it in everyone's faces what's going on, what's happening. There doesn't even need to be dialogue at that point. It's just so well put forward and so well drawn out. I like to call it the Arcane effect because Arcane does it so well. Even though the facial expressions are simplistic in Scott Pilgrim, you can really tell what they're saying through their emotions and how they're pushing it. My favorite example from Arcane is when Vi leaves Powder. Jinx, yeah. And it's this heartbreaking moment, and the voice acting pushes it too, but you can see it in Powder's face, or Jinx's face. You can tell the moment she realizes that she did wrong, and the moment when Vi hits her in the face. It's not to that degree in the Scott Pilgrim. It's not like that crazy, but I love it when animation does that, when you're sitting there watching and the facial expressions push what's going on, what the stakes are, what's happening. Because Ramona looks to Scott while he's laying down, and you can see it in her face, and I'm like, damn, this is good. Even though these two are assholes, I'm kind of rooting for them.
Visual storytelling works, guys.
It's great.
Yeah. Fern, anything on your end? It's okay if not.
No, not at the moment.
All good.
The animation is just really well done.
It is.
It is.
Like, no thoughts, just good, you know? Like, it's just
Yeah.
eye candy.
You want an analysis? No, you don't.
Boom. But did anybody have any specific thoughts about the music? Because it was, I think most of the music is composed by Anna Monoguchi, they're like a band that composes stuff. And they also made music for the video game, which I thought was pretty cool that he brought them back and stuff.
Joe Mama?
Amogus?
I really love the music from the video game. I haven't played it. I've watched people play it. The soundtrack is well done. I love that Scott Pilgrim has always had that video game vibe.
Oh, for sure.
And when you add that into the music, there are these like sound bits that you use when you're trying to make a video game. So you have whole bars and sections repeating until it gets to that climactic moment. Like in that last scene, you also have this sort of boss fight music, and you can feel it within the notes that they use. They definitely took a lot of inspiration from old 8-bit video games, Super Mario Brothers, Mega Man.
Definitely.
Stuff like that. And you add it to this type of scenario, and you're watching it, especially if you're watching the movie and the show, you're like, oh yeah, I see the video game elements. I get it. It's fun. It adds something. That's what makes, I think, Scott Pilgrim stand out from other movies and shows similar. It has this fun appeal with the video game sounds and the pop culture. It really speaks to a young adult audience especially young adults who are super into that.
Yeah, right. Oh my god. I can't believe, like, we forgot to mention that, like, Scott Pilgrim is very, like, video game inspired in both, like,
Yeah.
visually, musically, like, sound, like, just everything. Like, I think that's, like, the kind of, like, core style Scott Pilgrim has, and that I think that's really fun. Like, it reminds me of, like, OKKO, where it's like that, where, you know, a battle, like, between the evil X's, and then the anime sometimes, like, you know, they play around with, like, Scott Pilgrim versus, like, this other, like, opponent, or, like, two different characters, like, versing each other. Like, it's really fun and cool, like, how they kind of play into that Mortal Kombat or, like, Street Fighter and stuff like that.
Because you've heard these sounds before, even if you haven't played video games. If you're a young adult, you've probably been near an arcade. You've probably watched people play video games on, like, YouTube or something. You've probably, you know, been around a space where people play video games.
Definitely.
So it just hits that nostalgia button in a good way. I hate it when people use nostalgia as, like, a way to, like, draw people in.
Yeah.
Just to make a quick buck.
Like a cash grab kind of thing.
Yeah, but you know what? I shouldn't say it's like it's more so paying homage to that type of stuff.
Yeah.
Speaking of sounds, what's kind of interesting is that Sonic is like the sound design for Sonic is like featured in the movie, and I think it makes a little reference because it wasn't a full out sound effect, but like they kind of reference it in the anime.
Yeah, I've listened to the anime soundtrack, and one of the tracks was like Sonic 3, and I was wondering if that was like a reference to it or if it's actually the track itself from Sonic, but I don't know. It's safe to say that Brian is a huge, like, video game fan / Sonic fan.
But I know, like, Anamanaguchi, Scott Pilgrim was the reason why I got into them for a bit, like back in middle school and high school. I don't know. I just think about that. I like them. Same with, like, Metric, because for a long time, Black
Yes!
Sheep, everyone loves that song, but for a while, like, the Brie Larson version from the movie wasn't, like, on Spotify or, like, streaming services for a long time. So they had the version that was recorded by Metric, who's, like, a band. I remember I got kind of into Metric because of it, for, like, a very short time. I was like, oh, I like the singer's voice.
Oh.
I don't know, there's always debate over which version's better. I like both versions. Okay, I like very specific, like, inflections from both. Like, if I could combine them to make my perfect version, I would, but I'm really lazy.
Real. Yeah, I think I like both versions too. I think I just have such a, like, heart for Brie Larson, but also, fun fact, if you didn't know, Metric sang Envy's part in the anime. Yeah, the "I Will Remember You" part, that song. Yeah, it was kind of interesting.
I thought it was funny. 'Cause I remember I was, like, watching the anime, and then that part started. I'm like, Metric. Because the singer has a very distinctive voice, so, like, you're like, huh?
This is not Brie Larson.
So I thought that was. I'm like, that's definitely not Brie Larson. I was glad that they were brought back, kind of, like, as a nod.
That's the actual song in the official soundtrack.
Yeah.
For the anime.
Yeah.
So it's kind of cool.
It's fun. Definitely take a listen. Like, the whole, like, soundtrack is there.
I like Threshold also.
Ooh, yes. I love that one. My favorite from the movie is Garbage Truck.
I'll take you on a ride. On my garbage truck.
Get in.
My favorite one is the one where they were at the Battle of the Bands, and they were like, this one's called You Guys Suck.
Yes.
Please die.
Something like, oh yeah, you guys suck.
It was so
Please die.
sad.
Oh, so sad. I'm so sad.
Yeah. By Crash and the Boys.
Crash and the Boys. That's my favorite.
Oh,
Fucking
they
love that one.
also didn't put Crash and the Boys in the anime.
I kind of like how they did it though, because they're like, they missed it.
Right. Like they're there in the comics and the movie. It's fine. Like I love the scene where Wallace is like heckling them and stuff. You know, what we were just talking about. Is that girl a boy too? Not a race, guys. It's not a race.
It was really funny.
Yeah, that was a good one.
Oh, wow.
Wallace is so funny. Like, I forgot to mention, like, although I can't really speak upon like the representation behind Wallace, I think it's really nice to see like a queer gay character be like the player flirtatious type when you see that in a lot of like straight men characters. I don't know. Like,
Yeah.
I just thought that was interesting.
It's very neat.
Yeah.
Thanks to Wallace, now I gotta watch out.
Well, you gotta watch out.
I got played once. Not again.
Oh no, Fern.
Okay. Anyway.
For reference, Fern has a Todd profile picture.
That reminds me now that you mentioned the bands, there's a character in NB and Todd's band with like the Clash of the Demon Heads. They have a drummer. She is not in the anime.
She has a name?
Yes.
Yeah, Lynette
does not have a character arc and is never mentioned in the anime. Like, she has like a very, if you blink it, you miss it cameo. Like in when they were singing the Metric song.
Yeah.
But like, her character and her arc is gone completely in both the movie and the show. Arc, quote unquote. But like, she's gone in the anime. Like, no reference that, oh yeah, she's a bandmate we have too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, there's a lot of characters in all of the media, and the anime's like 8 episodes. So, like, I don't know. Maybe, again, I'm a movie person, and like, I only seen the movie, I've only seen the show, and like, I just kind of know bits and pieces from the comic. But like, I feel like they just like, their goal was just to mainly focus on like the X's.
Yeah, no, I honestly, like, as somebody who likes the comics, like, I don't blame them. I mean, I would put it past them for, like, not including characters that were, like, in the comics and stuff, just because, like, you know, the world of Scott Pilgrim, like, as a whole, there's so many characters, and there's only so many.
There's too many.
Yeah, like, there's so much you can do.
Like, I was just shocked.
Yeah.
I was shocked they put Mobile in there.
Yeah, Mobile.
I looked at him, I was like, huh? Yeah, Mobile.
Yeah, that's my guy.
I looked at him like, he's here? Okay.
It was pretty cool. He works for Nintendo and he's psychic.
He's psychic.
Yeah, in the comics he is.
Oh, why did I thought you were talking about someone else for like a hot minute.
No.
I know who you're talking about.
Yeah. Wallace's
like, who the hell?
partner, Mobile, at the end of the anime.
But is
I think he has a bowl cut.
But are you vegan?
Nah, he's psychic.
But are you vegan, Caitlin?
Me, specifically?
Yeah, you.
No, I'm not.
I'm gonna send the vegan police for you.
Why? I'm not a vegan.
Oh snap! You reminded me. Okay, so vegan police is gone in the anime too, and I miss him.
Fair.
They only were needed for that one scene.
Yeah, exactly.
Tom was just a freak.
But they should have made like a cameo or something.
Yeah, I do think, like, I know we like briefly talked about this in the beginning. With like adaptations and stuff, especially like Scott Pilgrim takes off. Look, Scott's gone. I don't care what happens at that point. I'm not like too concerned about like okay, again, I have like a different perspective because like whatever, I don't read. I guess like with the anime, like I have different expectations, so I'm not like, I don't know, I guess I'm not like clamoring for like things to come back, but also I'm trying to like approach this or think about from like, if I had a Monster High show and like It's a mini series, and they take out like all the like characters that people usually care about. Would I also clamor for such things? I think that's what it is.
Yeah. I mean, it's not like I have a strong, like, opinion or feeling that, like, if a character isn't mentioned in the anime, I'm like, oh man, this sucks because X character isn't there. Cause it's like, you know, there's only so much you can fit in 8 episodes, and what it calls for being, like, Ramona's perspective and story and relationships with the exes and stuff like that. And then, like, same thing with the movie. There's only so much you can fit in a 2-hour movie, and the comics itself is like 6 volumes, and it takes place like for 1+ year, when like the movie and the anime itself are like are in shorter like timelines.
I think they're both like a month, like about a month or two.
Yeah.
If we base it on how many times Ramona changes her hair.
True. Oh my god. Oh, speaking of Ramona's hair, like I like the repeating motif like in the beginning of most episodes where she like dyes her hair a different color. Like I think it's a really nice like visual symbol of like how time has passed.
Yeah, she's been at like that 2 months, not 3 months of trying to find that man.
Right. Her poor hair.
Her hair. Everyone's joking, saying, "Oh, dang, she's gonna lose her hair because of all those chemicals." But the thing is,
Future Ramona should have been bald. She should have been bald. Like, I don't. Why is her hair long?
Yeah.
It has to be a wig.
It's gotta be a wig.
It is a wig.
I just think about Scott Pilgrim logistics and how things sometimes just don't make sense. / there's like a magical element component to Scott Pilgrim, and I'm just like, oh, she just has magic hair. It's whatever. I don't know.
I know people were talking about, but like the final, like dyeing of the hair, she dyes it back to her natural color apparently, because like apparently she's blonde, but then apparently people were like it was retconned from brunette to blonde.
Oh my goodness.
wait, is her actress in the live action brunette or blonde?
I have no idea.
She's brunette.
Ah,
High Huntress.
Huntress.
Yes.
She's also in Sky High.
Yes.
I forget that she's in Sky High all the time.
Oh my gosh, she was in Sky High.
Wait, so you're telling me she was in 2 different things with 2 people from Succession?
Yes.
Crazy.
She's married to Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Yeah.
Wow.
Who is also Black Mask in Birds of Prey.
He was Black Mask?
Yeah.
No, he wasn't.
Yeah.
Uh-oh, Google time.
Wait, hold on. Ewan McGregor was. Oh my. How did I not notice that?
If we're speaking upon like characters that weren't in the anime, I wonder if there was ever a chance for season 2. It'd be interesting to see how that would play out. And just like, I'm just wondering if people had any thoughts about a season 2. I think Brian just does not have hope for a season 2 just because of like the state of like animation right now and like cancellations and stuff like that.
O'Malley said that he did think about making it like multiple seasons, but he decided to scrap the idea because he was afraid that if they ever did a cliffhanger for what was this season 1, that they wouldn't be able to do it because Netflix has the very infamous, oh, 1 season of animation, let's cancel it.
It's not even just Netflix, it's like most streaming services. They don't care about animation.
Yeah.
That's true, unfortunately.
I'm gonna get Zaslav when I see him.
Saslav, you better greenlit Batman Beyond, the animated and the live action, because we were robbed.
Give me
twice.
my Acme movie.
Yeah.
Give me the Acme movie.
Yeah.
Like, here's the thing. Sorry to all superhero fans. I want my Looney Tunes thing first. Give me my Looney Tunes.
Real though.
I wanted to. I feel bad for everyone, especially James Gunn, because Gunn was the one who wrote and produced it, apparently. It's kind of dumb, though, because, like, Netflix, Amazon, like, even Peacock, I believe it was. Like, those 3, they were, like, offering, like, a high amount for it. And the only reason why none of them got it is because WB wants it a certain amount, and those streaming services were like not the same amount. They were like a little bit lower than what they were asking for.
Like, if you don't care about the movie and you're like, oh, I'm gonna rent, just make it available to the public for free at that point.
Right.
Like, I don't understand the point of being like, oh, let's hide it away. Let's, oh, no DVD? Oopsie. When, like, just, like, leak it to the public, because, like, obviously, like, some people want it, and it's wrote it off. Just show it. Just show it. It's fine. Don't be afraid. Someone's gonna pirate your shows anyways. Who cares? Just drop it for free.
Someone out there, please leak the Batgirl movie, because that movie's finished too.
Please. Like, I know I just said I don't care about superhero movies. I care about women, though. And
Facts.
I want that movie, also. I also care about Batman enough. Drop it. Drop the movie. With Scott Pilgrim, the way it ended, right? Like the anime.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if this is controversial or not. I kind of wish that they didn't do, like, the extra, like, follow-up with, like, Julie and Gideon. Like, the thing where they're like, I'm gonna take over the world. And then, like, Julie's like...
The goose is loose. Honk honk fuckers.
I don't remember this scene.
It's, like, the literal, like, last scene. Like, the literal last scene of
Yeah,
the
it's
anime.
like in the credits though. Like, if you haven't, you missed it. Oh my
No.
god!
You missed? How do you miss it? It didn't even, like, it doesn't, like, auto, like...
Yeah.
It didn't.
How did you miss it? Like, it still played.
It didn't even autocorrect to the last scene.
No, it doesn't autocorrect. I'm saying, like, you know when you watch a Netflix show, and then when it ends, it zooms out to other things you can watch? It doesn't do that. Like, it stays
Yeah,
there.
just for that purpose.
It did that with me.
It didn't do it to me. Literally yesterday.
It didn't do it to me either.
Damn, Fern.
Maybe you messed up,
Yeah.
Fern. Maybe you messed up.
How dare you do that to my ship? Okay.
Do you hate women?
Do you hate girl bosses?
Do you hate
Yes.
do you hate pathetic
Yes.
men?
Yes.
Pathetic little men.
I love my girl bosses. Okay, okay. No.
But that's fair though. I thought it was just like a gag
Yeah.
thing versus like really anything. Like it's like I kind of like a funny cliffhanger. And I want them to do evil shenanigans together, but also you're valid though.
Yeah, it's just because I kind of like, it made it feel a little open-ended at the thing. Like, I know it's because they want to set up just in case they get picked up for another season. Like, I understand, like, why it's there. And also, it's like, it is funny. But also, I'm like, I don't like leaving something wondering too much. You know?
Fair enough.
Yeah.
I don't, I wish, like, they would have saved it for, like, in the potential they got a season 2. Like, that's, like, the thing. Or even, like, it could be, like, a little teaser for, like, the next season.
Right.
Or something.
Yeah.
It's more so why I didn't like it as much, but I don't think it's, like, it, like, brings the whole show down. Or anything. Because I've witnessed some crazy cliffhangers in my day.
Right.
So this is, like, nothing to me. But it was just more so, like, oh, I wish, like, they didn't do that. But, like, I can take it or leave it.
I've had some terrible cliffhangers from way back when symbiotic type.
I was thinking that
Yep.
too. Yep.
I was
Oh.
thinking that. I was thinking, I was also thinking Clone High, but we got, like, the sequel. So, like, I'm fine now, but, like, here's the thing. Clone High Season 3 is actually, like, decent. I'll vouch for it.
Spectacular Spider-Man.
The, MTV Spider-Man.
Well,
Oh my gosh.
Fern, please don't play with me right now.
no, I love MTV Spider-Man. That's like my favorite. But I'm saying, like, I don't know. I feel like the ending was a good.
He gave up being Spider-Man. But, like, it was, like, setting up for, like, another continuation.
I'm still sad we didn't get a second season for it because I know that was the plan. I don't mind the ending we got, but I'm still kind of sad because I'm like, oh, we were gonna get more.
Inside Job?
Oh, Inside
Oh,
Job.
that too. Oh my god, I'm gonna rip my hair out. Oh my god, women.
Don't rip your hair out.
Let's just be glad Scott Pilgrim didn't end up like any of those.
Yeah, right. Like, I totally understand, Shay. Like, when it comes to shows, you know, ending in cliffhangers and then they get canceled, it's like the worst feeling ever.
Dead End. Paranormal Park.
Oh my god.
That one hurt because I sat there. I was like, oh, I can't wait. Then like a week later, like we got canceled. Like,
The letter and everything. Dumb cases of that, and especially with Netflix, it just irks me, and it makes me really sad that that's like the default right now. Like creators like expecting a cancellation to happen for their projects, so they do the best they can to make everything to have like a closing at least.
It's Netflix. We were so lucky with the Scott Pilgrim because it could have ended up like any of those other things
Yeah.
that Netflix has allowed and put out. We're not in the best timeline, but we're in a decent timeline.
Yeah, we're in a timeline.
Again, I'm gonna say this. I don't know if I said this on the podcast, but I probably have. If you're a reboot and like it was better in my opinion than like the Bee and Puppycat reboot, I'm fine. I'm okay. Like,
yeah.
The Bee and Puppycat reboot had no sauce, no flavor.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it.
I can go on forever about it. I think like the Scott Pilgrim one, I think one, for all the expectations it did have going up against it did really well. I think she carried.
She ate.
First everyone was like, oh, it's gonna be another retelling of like the Scott Pilgrim story. But then like they did bait and switch. I know like a lot of people didn't like the bait and switch, but I was like, I don't care. I'm like, I don't want like a third retelling of like the same thing. Like I don't like when things keep retreading the same thing over and over, which is why, like, personally, I didn't want to watch the Netflix Avatar Last Airbender, just because I'm like kind of sick of them exploring the same story within the Avatar universe when there's like other things that they could do with that universe and with those characters. And like I'm more excited about like the movie, like the animated movies that are coming out for them. I think it's better to like, if you're gonna redo something, it has to be like the full complete thing. So like Fruits Basket, I watched the original anime when I was younger and then they redid it, but like with the whole story now. Like I wouldn't want like the same like 12 to 24 episodes again in like a new shiny art style. I much rather like see differences and like different stories or expanded stories, I guess. Which is why I like the Scott Pilgrim one. I was like, this feels very different. Like at least it feels different than me just like watching the same beats. But because I don't know, like the first few minutes had me nervous, even though I already knew it was gonna happen. But I was like, I like that they kind of were saying like, hey, your expectations aren't gonna be correct, because like those first few minutes they were recreating scenes but like using different dialogue, so instead of it being like the Pac-Man, like Scott's talking about like Sonic 2, I think. Which is like fun, and then also like a fun like foreshadowing for like older Scott. I don't know, like I like that they bait and switched us.
I like a good surprise when like what I get isn't what I expected from the trailer or anything. If I watch the trailer, I like surprises. They're always fun. Sometimes.
That trailer apparently was like super misleading. I didn't watch it.
It was. Yeah, no, it was literally just a word for word premise of what Scott Pilgrim is. And then, obviously, the first episode, he took off.
Scott Pilgrim gets his shit rocked.
That's gonna be the next season.
Exactly.
Scott Pilgrim gets jumped.
I think it would be fun if they did like multiple seasons somehow. I think it would be fun to focus on like a different side character each one.
Ooh.
Like each season.
Yeah.
Okay.
Kind of like an anthology series. So like first season we got Ramona. Second season, like, I don't know, might be Julie. Or even if they do like Lisa for the second season, that would be kind of
Lisa.
cool.
Shakes.
I feel what they should do, if they were gonna go with that route, is do a Kim and Lisa season, because that would be a cool homage to O'Malley's style webcomic. And those characters pretty much are Kim and Lisa, or at least those two characters are also... Okay, so Kim and Lisa also appear in style, and they could kind of retcon it, so it could be part of Scott Pilgrim. That way they could like flesh out their characters too.
That's cool. I think for me, I think it'd be really cool if they had multiple seasons, if it was an anthology, but also... So it's like Marvel's What If, but like the whole season is the alternate universe. Like in the next season, like, I don't know, what if like something were to happen to somebody, or like what if, like an example of an AU, right? Like what if the roles were switched? Like, with different characters and stuff. Like, if Scott was Ramona's, like, character or personality or whatever. Like, that'd be kind of fun.
I would like to have an episode regarding the vegan police and their lore. Sounds really silly, I know, but...
I think you really like the vegan police concept.
Yeah.
I kind of love that for you, though.
Everyone has that one thing they're really attached to.
I need season 2 Scott, and I need it to just be based in the future that they shown in season 1.
Yeah, that would be pretty cool to see.
And just have it, I don't know, slice of life-ish.
That too.
Actually, I want a Knives Chow season 2.
Yes!
Oh, you're so right.
Because she has, like, the whole band thing, like, in season 1, but, like, she's still, like, not a very prominent character. It's, like, weird. She has, like, more development in the show, but also, like, it feels like she's less in the show since it's from Ramona's perspective.
For sure.
Yeah, she has more development, but, like, literally she's just, like, not in, like, the forefront because of the circumstances in the show. So, I don't know. I think it'd be fun to, like, follow her for a little bit.
Yeah. I love Knives.
I miss Knives. I wish I was
I
Knives.
like that her eyes are just circles.
I know we just talked about art a bit ago, but like I really like the opening of the show, like the theme song. It's catchy, it's fun, and like the visuals are really cool. That's all I have to say about that.
I kind of like that the intro also feels like a bait and switch.
It
does.
Like in terms of like the actual music, because like the beginning sounds very heavy, like it's gonna be a very heavy song, but then immediately it's like this really cutesy like chip tune
Yeah.
and I'm like, oh, that's fun.
Oh, I love that explanation.
Like, yeah, this ain't your mother, Scott Pilgrim.
We just need more Scott in our lives. Not specifically him.
Just the lore around them.
Oh, to be a young adult in Canada fighting.
Young adults in Canada, sound off.
My sister has been in Canada. Based on what she told me, it's not like Scott Pilgrim.
It doesn't snow 25/7?
Like, there's no magic.
Not always.
Right. There's no subspace.
What is subspace?
It's like the echoes in Scott's head because his head's empty.
No, I know. I mean, like, what is subspace? Like in
Wait,
like,
are you for real?
Oh, forget it.
Oh.
It was,
Okay,
it was a
I was
joke.
like, wait.
I was trying to make a joke.
I couldn't tell.
Fake Scott Pilgrim fan, kick him out.
No, wait. Is Matthew Patel's like the vampire?
The demon chicks?
Yeah, the demon chicks.
They're in the anime, like, briefly.
Oh my gosh, I forgot they existed.
Yeah. I think their designs are really cute.
They look strange in the movie.
Definitely
They
in the
do.
movie. It's a little weird.
They're demon chicks. I'm not gonna put it past them.
But they only exist for like 2 seconds, so.
Yeah.
I will say, one thing about the anime, they made everyone look really adorable.
Oh, for sure.
There's a reason why there are just profile pictures of them just, like, going around like crazy.
That's why we have her profile pics on Discord.
Yeah.
Tell me why almost every Scott Pilgrim character are like the same height, minus like Lucas and maybe Todd and maybe the twins.
Everyone who's tall is tall, and everyone who's short is short.
They're like so stubby.
Isn't that just like, in the comic too?
That's also
Yeah.
true.
Yeah, so it's probably
Yeah.
just
But it speaks to the art style.
yeah. I don't know who'd be like super tall or super short.
Lucas is literally built different.
He's built like Scott. I was about to say Scott Evans.
Scott.
I
Chris
mean, that's
Evans.
his brother. That's Chris Evans' brother.
I'm Scott Pilgrim.
It is.
Piggybacking to what Shay was talking about like just how different like the show is in general, I'm glad that they didn't like repeat jokes like like what you were saying, Shay, with like the Sonic reference instead of the Pac-Man reference. Like I love how they kind of just change it up in the show if they were to reference something as a callback. So for example, like the bread makes you fat like reference is mentioned like in the musical, and then the joke of like Scott tying his shoe before a battle is like also there in the last episode when he's fighting older Scott to reference like the the movie.
He ties his shoe for a minute there.
I will say, the bread makes you fat thing's just like a general, like, thing that Brian puts in his stuff. Because it's in Seconds.
Oh, yeah.
Which is a graphic novel that's getting a movie. I'm very excited. I love Seconds.
Oh, let's go.
I love Seconds.
When that shows up in Seconds, and everyone's like, that's what's up. I'm like, yeah, it's in everything.
I'm remembering, since you mentioned Seconds, another story by O'Malley is called Snot Girl, and I kind of remember seeing one of my classmates in college. Not college. Well, I did see someone in college too, but like in high school, she was like reading a graphic novel of it, and I'm like, wait, why did he call her Snot Girl? And it's like, oh, it's because of. I'm like, oh, okay, I got it.
Allergies.
I need to like continue Snot Girl. Okay, I read it like when I was back in high school. I liked it enough because it was like, oh, fashion. Oh, she has issues.
Murder.
Yeah.
Oh.
Did I read Snot Girl? I recognize that name.
Yeah, it's because Brian doesn't
do the art. I forget the actual name of who does the art, but I know her.
I read it.
Leslie Hung.
Yes, thank you. Because I only know her handle is dairy free. Her art really is gorgeous.
So pretty. It's so interesting to see Brian's like different works and stuff. I think Seconds does reference, there's like drawings of like Scott Pilgrim characters throughout like the graphic novel, not throughout, but like little Easter eggs that you like see. So it'd be kind of cool if the adaptation like was like, oh, this is in the same like universe as Scott Pilgrim, just like in the comics.
They have like Michael Cera and like Mary Elizabeth Winstead just in the background.
Yeah.
I know what exact scene they show up
That'd be kind of cool.
It's like in one of the it's like early on in one of the big like restaurant spreads. They're like at a table together. I think it'd be funny if they just have that there. Are there any other thoughts on Scott Pilgrim?
I'm real. I like Scott Pilgrim. I want more Scott Pilgrim. I need more Scott Pilgrim. And I'm begging on my knees. Those are my thoughts.
Very insightful.
I would love to see a continuation of sorts for Scott Pilgrim. Yeah, that's about it.
It would be nice to have a continuation of the show, but I also understand the limitations behind it, so I really don't mind either way. I really am happy that this was like such a fun, unexpected opportunity that we all got to see now that we're, you know, older and we all grew up with like this franchise, and just to see it through and being around the age group that these characters are, I think it makes it such a good like full circle like closure that I think is there and is appreciated. So I really enjoyed the project itself, and I wouldn't mind a continuation, but I also wouldn't mind for what it is and to continue appreciating for what it is. But I'd be curious to also see like Brian's like new work outside of that too, and then like I'm really excited for Seconds as well. Thank you, Chaz and Fern, for joining us for this Scott Pilgrim episode of the 1224 podcast. So happy to have you guys here. And Fern, welcome. You finally made it to the podcast. It's been
so long, considering everything else. I think it's really funny, but also, dear God.
Thank you for the invite, Caitlin. This was such a fun podcast to do. Would love to come back again some other time. For those listening and want to know my social's Mysterious Ferns on Instagram.
All right, everybody. Thank you so much for listening to the 1224 podcast. Let us know in the comments about your thoughts about everything Scott Pilgrim and Scott Pilgrim Takes Off. And I'm Kate. Did you forget your name?
I was also going to say Scott.
And I'm Ramona.
Goodbye. I'm ending it. Goodbye.
Anyways, we'll see you all in the next episode. Bye!
Bye-bye.
Hello, this is Chaz. The last 9 minutes of my thing didn't record, so this is me saying goodbye to everyone. Goodbye, everyone. All right, bye-bye.
Goodbye.